Hey everybody. It's Thanksgiving today, and one of my good friends, I don't get to talk to him, but he lost his job and he lost his dad. And that's, I can't even, words don't really explain what anybody could feel when that's happening, but I want you to know that I'm really sorry, and I lost my dad 3 years ago, about 4 days ago. I lost him, I want to say, a couple days before Thanksgiving 3 years ago. And mentally, I knew it was going to happen. And my dad was like the strongest man. And he had cancer. And he had never gone to the doctor for it. He was a person that hated going to the doctor, okay? He hated it. And he would only go if he absolutely had to, basically, if I made him. And he had fallen down like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I don't even know when it was. But he had fallen down, and he had cracked a couple ribs. And, you know, within that year or 2 years, he kept grabbing his arm at the dinner table. And I was like, what is wrong with you? You know? And he explained that, you know, he had fallen down, and he had told me about it, and I just forgot about it. And he said it was still bothering him, and I made him go to the doctor, and it wound up being, because it was always his left arm, uh, his arteries were clogged, and he would have wound up having a heart attack. He had to have a quadruple bypass, and he honestly tried to do it without me even knowing about it. And I don't know why parents do that, but they do. And I think what it is when you get older, you know, you wind up having a lot of ailments. Your body, uh, you, I don't really want to get into this kind of talk, but, you know, you have a lot of different problems going on, so you don't really want to let your kids know about every single problem. And you don't want your kids to worry. And you probably don't, in your mind, don't want to think that anything's going to happen. So you're better off maybe not telling them, because if you don't tell them, then, you know, then you're going to be okay. You know, it's kind of like a mental game. So then that was an earlier story. But then he called, and somehow he told me that he had gone to the doctor and it's really not good. And I could tell he was really worried, because he started to cry, and my dad never cries. And just only when he lost his mom and things like that. I don't want to cry. Oh, my battery's getting low, so I gotta hurry. So I was on the computer at my house, and I knew he was in the hospital. I'm like, what the heck am I even doing here? And so I went to the hospital, even though it was just like tests. came up here, back to my home, where I pretty much grew up, and it was about 2 weeks, and his mind just failed him, and it's hard to explain, but he couldn't, his stomach was full of cancer, so he couldn't digest anything. It was blocking it off. So that was pretty rough, because, like, he wasn't supposed to drink anything like that. It was probably the hardest thing. And my family came home, and then it was just, 2 weeks of everybody being together, and I basically remodeled a couple of rooms. I couldn't just be there and really doing nothing. So, my dad was, that was the hardest thing, because I'm 38, so I'm pretty young, and I always knew that was going to happen. I always felt like it was possible that half of my life could be spent without my parents, and there was such an important role, because I never really mentally left them. I left for about 5 years, like 2 hours away, but otherwise I've just been pretty much around here. So, still recording, still have battery. So, losing parent is like the toughest thing in the world, because they're your support mentally, physically. Uh, you know, so I didn't work for I don't even know how long, at least a month, 2 months. I didn't do anything. So, I just want to say maybe that job thing is actually a blessing. Because when you lose a parent, you really need the time off anyway, mentally. The closer you were to them, like, the harder it is, obviously. Out of sight, out of mind, kind of thing. I don't mean to sound cruel, I just mean, you're a heck of a lot closer with somebody you spend more time with than a cousin that you've seen 3 times in your life. But it doesn't mean that you don't love them and you don't want bad things to happen to them. But losing somebody you're close to is rough. So, hopefully, not hopefully, but with faith, they'll be in heaven, and you're going to see them again. And it'll be one big happy family. That's what I want.